My author presentation is on Mark Twain. Samuel Langhorne Clemens, aka Mark Twain, was born on November 30th, 1835, a few days after Halley's Comet passed by the Earth. He was born to John and Jane Clemens in Florida, Missouri, and he was the sixth of 7 children, but only 3, including him, survived childhood. When he was young, his family moved to Hannibal, Missouri, which would later inspire the fictional town of St. Petersburg in the adventures of Tom Sawyer and the adventures of Huckleberry Finn. When Samuel was 11, his father died of pneumonia, leaving his family in dire financial straits. Samuel left school and began working as a printer's apprentice to provide for his family. 4 years later, he began his writing career for the Hannibal Journal, which happened to be owned by his brother Orion. He left when he was 18 to go work in New York, Philadelphia, St. Louis, and Cincinnati. On a steamboat trip down the Mississippi to New Orleans, Samuel met the pilot of the boat and became enamored with having the job, and then began training to become one himself. Mark Twain was a call that the boatsmen used. It meant that the water was 2 fathoms or 12 feet deep, and it meant that the water was safe for the boat. He would later convince his brother Henry to become a steamboat captain. He later died in a tragic explosion accident, and Samuel would always hold himself accountable. When the Civil War started, all traffic along the Mississippi stopped, which meant that Samuel was out of a job. He would enlist with the Confederates, but left 2 weeks later to go mining in Nevada with his brother. He failed miserably at this endeavor, but got a job as a journalist. But then he left again for San Francisco. Here, once again, he found a job as a journalist and wrote his first big hit, The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County, which brought him national attention. After a trip to Hawaii, Europe, and the Middle East, Samuel returned home to marry Olivia Langdon and then had 4 children. Samuel Clemens, when writing, always had a pen name, but it was not always Mark Twain. He was simply known as Josh until 1863, when he used the name Thomas Jefferson Snodgrass, but he would soon drop all of these names for the name Mark Twain. Twain's stories were influenced by his childhood and earlier life experiences. The book Roughing It was based off his experiences as a miner in Nevada, and also provided material for The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County. Twain wrote Tom Sawyer in 1876 while living in Hartford, Connecticut. This story also was influenced by his earlier experiences, such as the town of St. Petersburg being based off his hometown of Hannibal, Missouri. The character Tom Sawyer was based off Twain's childhood friends, and a firefighter he met in San Francisco. Twain would then write the novels The Prince and the Pauper in 1881, Life on the Mississippi in 1883, and then The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn in 1885, which was a sequel to Tom Sawyer. Huckleberry Finn was widely controversial and was banned by multiple libraries across the country at the time on the claims that it was too coarse and crude for the youth who read it. To this day, it is banned in many schools because of the frequent use of the N-word and the depictions of the slave Jim as comical and stupid. In my opinion, these critics missed the point. Older critics didn't realize Twain was trying to use humor to capture the attention of youth on an important issue, and modern critics missed the point that he was trying to highlight the injustice of the slavery system. Twain was known for his quick wit and sharp opinions. Some of his famous sayings include, "It is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. Get your facts first, then you can distort them as you please. And whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect." These are just a few of his many quotes. Twain was a Presbyterian, but didn't believe many of their teachings and could never wrap his head around the idea of having faith in something that you couldn't see or prove was there. At the end of his life, Twain became greatly in debt because he invested in the creating of the Page typesetting machine. It was a mechanical marvel that amazed viewers when it worked, but it was prone to breakdowns. Twain spent $300,000, equal to $8,100,000 in current day money, on the machine between 1880 and 1894. However, before it could be perfected, it was made obsolete by the linotype. Twain not only lost the bulk of his money, but also a substantial portion of his wife's inheritance. To get out of debt, Twain went on a one-year tour around the country and eventually gained back the money to pay the creditors in full. Samuel Clemens died in 1910 at age 75, one day after Halley's Comet returned by the Earth.